This week marks 2 years since I have been posting videos on hair loss, hair growth, and healthy hair in general on social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Looking back, those 2 years went by in the blink of an eye, and in the beginning I remember questioning if I would even have an audience. My first video that I posted, I was trying to make light of my own hair loss experience, but I was also intentionally trying to capture the attention of people to open up a conversation or to lead into other videos about what I had been researching about hair loss and what I was referring clients to and what was actually working. It has been absolutely mind-blowing the amount of comments and messages that I got on the first video and throughout the last 2 years. It has definitely validated what I had already suspected, that hair loss in women is quickly becoming an epidemic. Welcome to Hair Loss with Melissa Anger. I am your host, Melissa. After this last episode, my husband had some great feedback for me. He had mentioned how some of the terms that I had used were hard to remember, or he wasn't exactly sure what they meant. And I think it was an important realization for me that all of this is now second nature for me, but not for everyone else. I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit and go into depth on some of these important terms that you will hear often in this podcast. This way, we are all on the same page as we build this foundation of understanding what could be leading to your hair loss as an individual. Our hair is made up from keratinous fibers, and they grow from follicles. These follicles start at the surface of the epidermis, the top layer of the skin, and extend deep into the dermis layer, the middle layer of our skin, and even deeper for terminal hairs. The thicker, longer hairs on your head are called terminal hairs. These hairs have pigment. Another type of hair is called vellus hairs. These hairs are shorter, finer, they don't grow as long, and they don't have pigment. Oftentimes, when talking about hair loss, you will hear the term miniaturization. This is when follicles begin to shrink and will go from producing terminal hairs to vellus hairs. These follicles that produce vellus hairs usually only extend to the upper area of the dermis layer of the skin. Each follicle on the head will consist of the hair strand, the bulb. This is that clear or black ball at the end of your hair. Inside the follicle, the bulb connects to the papilla, which is known as the mother of the hair, and the papilla is connected to a capillary. Each hair feeds off of blood. The better the blood circulation and the more nutrient-rich your hair is, the better your hair eats, improving regrowth and growth in general. We also have a sebaceous gland, a muscle called the erector pili, this is what gives you goosebumps, and a cluster of cells called the hair bulge. The hair grows in a cycle that has different phases. The first phase is the anagen phase, also known as the growing phase. Next is the catagen phase, which is the transitional phase. And then we have the telogen phase, which is the resting or the shedding phase. The growing phase will last between 2 and 6 years, depending on your ethnicity. The transitional phase will last about 2 weeks, and the shedding phase lasts around 100 days. They go in alphabetical order, so think ACT, anagen, catagen, telogen. And an easy way to picture this is the anagen is the working phase. The catagen, your hair has checked out for lunch or for a break. And the telogen phase is when they have clocked out to go home or go on vacation. You'll see them again in the next 100 days. During the growing phase, these stem cells that are located in the hair bulge, another term for this hair bulge is the matrix cells. They divide every 24 to 72 hours to rapidly regrow hair. These are some of the fastest regenerating cells that we have in our body. These stem cells require key nutrients in order to function, and our hair is the last part of our body to receive nutrients from what we eat. This is why we can see a drastic increase in hair loss or a drastic decrease in hair growth from deficiencies, whether this is coming from an internal issue like a gut health issue, a liver function issue, not having a gallbladder, or a drastic change in your diet, specifically reducing the amount of calories you intake each day, and a drastic change in diet, which usually can result in rapid weight loss, is another cause of telogen effluvium or diffuse alopecia. When you reduce the amount of calories you intake each day, this means less food, which limits you to the amount of nutrients that you get, like protein, amino acids, vitamins, and minerals. And as I mentioned in the last video, major deficiencies that we see in relation to hair loss or regrowth, or the hair growth in general slowing down, is vitamin D and iron. Some of the major organs or systems in our body need these things before our hair does. These major systems or organs include things like our heart, our lungs, bone marrow, our breast tissue, kidneys, our skin. And when you think about skin, just as one example, it's our largest organ. It's protecting our insides from germs, just as one example. Another example is our immune system. Vitamin D is the master key to our immune system. Vitamin D will go there first. This will directly impact those stem cells that are in the matrix that are responsible for growing new hair or hair growth in general if there's a deficiency. We can even see issues in our hair when we don't get enough protein. If major organs or systems in the body are not receiving enough protein to function in general, our body will take protein from our hair first. This is one of the most common reasons why people can see a change in the texture or the strength of their hair as it grows from the scalp. They can suddenly experience issues with breakage at the scalp because they are growing more brittle hair directly from the scalp. So if you've been diagnosed with a vitamin deficiency, or if you've drastically changed your diet, or even if you have undergone any type of bariatric surgery, you need to be mindful of either what foods that you need to incorporate that are rich in each vitamin or mineral, which any doctor will tell you to get nutrients from your food first and then supplement. Once you've made changes in your diet or you've started to incorporate more vitamin or mineral rich foods into your diet, if you're still not getting enough, then you would look into a supplement. And as a side note, one of the most common deficiencies that a bariatric patient will experience after having surgery is iron. When it comes to vitamin D and iron specifically, foods rich in vitamin D are cod liver oil. Now, if you're going to use cod liver oil, do not skimp on the price. This is a great example of a supplement where usually the more expensive brands are a higher quality. Cod liver oil goes rancid very quickly. So if you're buying cod liver oil from a big box store, the chances of it being rancid before you take it home and start consuming it are very high. So be very mindful of the brand and the quality that you are purchasing. Salmon, tuna, and fortified foods like dairy or plant milks and even orange juice. The sun obviously is the very best source of vitamin D. And if you're going to supplement vitamin D, you need to look for a vitamin D that has a source of cholecalciferol. Foods that are rich in iron can be plant sources or an animal source. An animal source is a heme form of iron, and a plant source is a non-heme, and you need to consume close to double the amount of non-heme compared to heme foods to get a good amount of iron every single day. So foods that are rich in iron include spinach, lentils, pumpkin seeds, red meat, liver, beans, quinoa, eggs, broccoli, leafy greens, and fish. And you'll notice that when it comes to vitamin D and iron in particular, a lot of these sources are coming from an animal. So when you make a drastic change in your diet, like becoming a vegetarian or a vegan, you either need to work harder to get these nutrients from food or you need to supplement. And both vitamin D and iron are fat soluble, so they need to be taken with food. And this is one of the reasons why I am so big on Mary Ruth's. They take this into consideration. So their vitamins like vitamin D and iron are paired with a fat in the supplement itself. So your absorption rate is great, but you can also take them on an empty stomach. You don't necessarily need to take them with food. Another drastic change includes significantly cutting carbs. It's not necessarily a bad thing to be mindful of the carbs that you consume every day or reducing that amount, but if your diet includes more fat or more meat, and there is an already underlying issue with digestive enzymes or liver function or how the pancreas is functioning, this can lead to changes in the way that you use the bathroom. And long term, if you're dealing with something like constipation or diarrhea, this can lead to vitamin absorption issues or vitamin deficiencies. Also, if you were previously consuming mostly carbs in your diet and you drastically change that, this can be stressful on the body. Even though it's an improvement, it's not what your body is used to, especially if you were already dealing with other things like a recent illness, surgery, just having a baby, psychological stress. This will just add to that. And when it comes to women specifically, our body can go into safety mode or a longer period of fight or flight when something triggers that stress response. A great example of this is bariatric surgery. You're having surgery, you drastically reduce the amount of food that you can eat, which will lead to rapid weight loss. So you not only have the stress response in general, but you also have a dramatic decrease in nutrients. So it's the perfect storm that leads to dramatic hair loss. Any hair loss from telogen effluvium or diffuse alopecia will typically start 2 to 3 months after the stressor. And it includes ones that we have gone over so far, like vitamin deficiencies, a change in your diet, or rapid weight loss. One of the biggest questions that always comes up is, how do I improve this, or how do I keep my hair loss from being as dramatic as it may be? Remember, when you deal with diffuse alopecia or an episode of telogen effluvium, you can lose anywhere from 30 to 70% of your hair. So we're trying to keep that number closer to 30% and not have it get too close to 70%. So some of the things that you can do while this hair loss is inevitable, some of the things that you can do to make sure that it's not as bad is make sure you're eating 60 to 80 grams of protein each day. This is the bare minimum, at least 60 to 80 grams of protein. Look into supplementing, and this can include protein itself, protein shakes, but also amino acids and vitamins and minerals. You need to have blood work done to check for your vitamin D and iron levels before you start supplementing really any fat-soluble vitamin or mineral. If you're taking a separate vitamin on top of a multivitamin, you need to make sure that there's an actual deficiency before you just start implementing excess vitamins like vitamin D or iron. Look into getting enough vitamin C each day. Vitamin C is an absolutely necessary vitamin for our stress response, and other antioxidants as well. Vitamin E, glutathione, which is a hormone, but it acts like an antioxidant in the body. Be mindful of your gut health. 90% of serotonin is made in the gut, and serotonin plays a huge role in melatonin production in the body. Not only in the pineal gland, but in our cells, mitochondria as well. Melatonin is the absolute number one antioxidant. Next is glutathione. Anytime you're having that stress response, antioxidants will help. The more cortisol you're producing on a regular basis, the more vitamin C in particular that your body needs, but there are also other options when it comes to an antioxidant. Now, I've talked about this before in videos that I have done on TikTok and on Instagram, but I think it's always important to go over these as much as we can. First of all, this type of hair loss, diffuse alopecia, telogen effluvium, it's not permanent and it is absolutely reversible. But you have to get to the bottom of why it is happening. It requires time and effort and energy put into maybe keeping a diary throughout a couple of weeks, being mindful of the foods that you're consuming, the amount of calories that you're consuming every single day, the amount of protein that you're getting every single day. What fruits and vegetables are you getting enough of to make sure that you're getting a good amount of nutrients? And while this type of hair loss is not permanent and it is reversible, It will be continuous if you don't get to the actual cause. And again, this is where you will commonly hear people say, my hair in my 20s was completely different than how my hair is today. The diameter of your hair has completely changed. The size of your ponytail as a whole is almost non-existent. It has completely changed the thickness of your hair and the quality of your hair over time. But this is also one of the causes, or these three things that we have gone over so far: vitamin deficiencies, a drastic change in your diet, or rapid weight loss. These are three different causes where when you start supplementing or you make changes in your diet, you can see an improvement rather quickly, and it is so rewarding. I have lots of videos showing actual results from clients, their before and after, whether it's been 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 3 months. It is so amazing to see clients come back in for their appointment to take the blow dryer and blow all of these new little hairs up and show them, look, you made it a point to make changes in your diet, reduce maybe some of the things that you were consuming in excess, like sugar or alcohol. You started supplementing correctly. So you're taking a good multivitamin, a good probiotic, and if you were deficient in something like vitamin D or iron and you started taking those, look at what is now happening to your hair. Look at the rate in which your hair is growing and look at all of these new little hairs. And this is one of the reasons why I think Mary Ruth's has taken off so quickly since posting videos, or their popularity with my clients has grown, because we, over time, I think have evolved into humans that want to see results immediately in almost everything that we do. So when clients start taking their specific vitamin regimen and 6 weeks later, they see such a dramatic difference in their hair, this is so fulfilling. And it's so motivating to keep going with what they're doing. This is actually working. I am not wasting my money. I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing. And now they swear by changes that they have made in their diet, reducing some things they were consuming maybe too much, and supplements that they are now taking. One thing that I will recommend to anybody doing, it can be so beneficial if you take a little bit of time to better understand vitamins, minerals, the way the body works, things that the body absolutely needs in order to function and to be healthy. To start eating for nutrients. So much of what I go over in relation to hair loss also has a major effect on your health and the way you feel overall, just in general. One of the biggest things that I hear from clients that have started Mary Ruth's supplements is their energy levels are through the roof. I will have people all the time that comment on videos or send me a message saying, I don't know what is going on, but I'm 3 or 4 or 5 days in and I feel fantastic. And each time I have to laugh because that's how you're supposed to feel. When your body is getting the proper amount of protein, carbs, amino acids, vitamins, minerals, trace minerals, your hair not only thrives, but your health will thrive as well.